Why wouldn't I worry about power corrupting me or, well, people in general? Well, see, if we are to talk about real people, the point is very simple. Real people don't get easily corrupted by power because they know power comes with a certain level of structure. Power is nothing else but a representative and at times a checker of those levels of stability. Because people ask what it actually means. See, only people who have gone through certain challenges or certain training in life can actually reach levels of power. In an ignorant world, obviously, anyone who is more incapable than the others will usually be set in a place of power because in ignorant worlds, everything is based on control. You want people more idiotic than you to be your higher ups because you can control them better, right? And you want yourself to surround yourself with people obviously more idiotic than you or more easily controllable than you because obviously ignorance is all about control. And the only reason people fail in places of power is because they have expectations, stupid expectations. If you put people in places of power who are not ready for that, well, honestly, they will simply uh, crumble easily, right? If you put a buffoon, if you put a bozo in a place of power, what will they have? Expectations that everyone will serve them, right? All their insecurities, all the things in there, they will either challenge them or they won't care about those as well. If someone has a certain layer of awareness, but they don't feel ready for that, being suddenly placed in a in a place of power will suddenly challenge all their insecurities. What if they fail? What if they will be judged cruelly by others, and so on and so forth, right? What happens if you put a lesbian, for example, in a place of power? A place of power is obviously nothing else but money. It is an amplifier. So let's say a lesbian might just want to fuck all the women suddenly, and maybe they will grow even an expectation that that will actually happen. Because everyone nowadays, and well, always, everyone has needs. And some people, well, they place way more attention on certain needs that they may want or that they may need to. But the point is, if you think about each and every kind of human that you can think of, each and every need will be challenged by power. Because power means a trade. You're trading your own needs for the needs of your community, right? That is what a leader does. A leader should care for their community a bit more than they care for themselves in some situations. Because first and foremost, you always have to take care of yourself, but there has to be a balance. That balance can be only achieved when you have a certain level of awareness, when you have emotional maturity. And in a sick society, emotional maturity is forbidden. It is a sin because emotion is your guidance. And you cannot have any guidance in ignorance because otherwise you will seek to escape ignorance, right? You can look at ignorance like you can look at an autoimmune disease. It has its own, let's call it, very small level of awareness, and it will fight against anything that rises as a possible challenge. As a possible challenge, not it doesn't have to actually be a challenge if it can be interpreted as that. Yes, it will fight. This is what, in the lowest levels of awareness, even gives birth to communism, or whatever name it can give itself. But that is the lowest level of awareness, that of guiding and ruling everything through fear, right? And forcing everyone to live life in the same miserable way that they are living it as well, right? So, in a way, tend towards what nowadays we call communism. If we are to think a bit about life in general, power can only corrupt you if you have expectations, because a lot of people expect that with power, everything that they so called desire, well, it's gonna come much easier. Because people are simply stuck in ignorance. And in ignorance, nobody wants the journey, they just want the instant gratification at the end. Nobody wants to run the race, right? If you are emotionally and mentally mature, you would simply seek to enjoy each and every aspect of the race, right? Of the challenge, instead of just waiting for the end run, waiting to reach the finish run. Because when you hit the finish line, it is over, right? And the question is, what emotions have you gotten out of it? Just some little instant gratification that you won the race or that at least you finished it? That's not gonna matter much when you're gonna be on your deathbed. so many people are ignorant? Because they are lost in this illusion that they will live here forever, right? That is one of the major effects that ignorance has on people. They think they will be here forever, but at the same time, they just don't want to be here at all, right? So they give up their emotions, they give up their conscience, they give up their awareness, they give up their discernment, they give up everything just so that they don't feel the pain, right? And you see some of these people, they would care so much for an insect or anything else but their own peers, but they kind of, crumble within because of loneliness. A bug will not give you any care. A cat will not care much about you. It will probably want to cuddle, but it will only want to cuddle because it receives its own attention. And because it knows, deep to its core, it knows that if it gives you some attention, you're gonna give it some food. No animal will actually truly care for you each and every moment of your life, right? So the point is, power will only corrupt you because you are not ready for it. You're not capable of being um, stable enough, and you're not willing to be, because you cannot have any stability if you don't take on the responsibility. Once people take responsibilities in their life, that is when things start actually moving in a better direction, right? But people cannot stand taking responsibility because it is never comfortable, right? So when they are in their own comfort, obviously they will dream. When they dream, they feel that they are immortal. When they feel that they are immortal, nothing happens because they're never gonna die, right? People are so disconnected from what they are that they forget that they are just nothing else but a heap of flesh and blood and bones. And one day, well, they will only be just bones. And nobody will care, just like, well, they never cared about anyone in their own life. What you give is what you will receive sooner or later. Power cannot corrupt you if you don't have any expectations. Because a lot of people, when they get into a place of power, they want money because they are stuck in survival. They cannot live outside of survival. Survival is their comfort zone, living from today till tomorrow. You will see them, they get their money, they blow it all, they splurge, and then they live on the edge each and every day. Some people are dependent on that. Yes, been there, done that. I've unfortunately inherited that karmically from my father. And well, I had to transcend it, and I kind of did. We all have to deal with some of the debt that we get from our parents, from our forefathers. Now, obviously, this is what some people may call mumbo jumbo, but that mumbo jumbo will influence your life indirectly. And if you're not capable of realizing that, well, you're gonna suffer from some things and you're not gonna realize why. All these will create even more needs and even more needs. And if you end up in places of power, all of those needs will simply not give you any peace, right? If you don't have a peaceful mind, you're not going to be good in a place of power. Because in a place of power, you need to take decisions and you need to take your time for those decisions. If you're pressured, you're going to fail if you have way too many needs, if you have way too many distractions, right? People consume, but they don't give anything. They just want to be consumers, but they don't want to put anything out. That is something that will never put you in a good situation as a person in a place of power. Because when you want to be a consume, you will consume anyone who's following you. So honestly, you're not going to be a good power person, right? And sickness actually relies on that. And sickness is nothing else than, well, a replication. Yes, you have sick people as a populace. Obviously, their leaders will not be a difference, right? The moment a leader steps in that has different views, they will be pulled down, right? Because crab people can only wish the same pains, the same ignorance upon the others, because that is their only wish, that is their only desire. They want to suffer life forever. They just want to be one with pain, but everyone else must also be like that, because anyone who's different is gonna be a reminder to them that life can be so much more than the pain they have become comfortable with. Power is something that, has full control over this ignorance, because ignorance means you give up your humanity and you become a slave of the impulses of this physical body. You become a slave of nature. If this is how you wish to live life, well, may you experience what you need to experience. But the point is, you have free will and you have discernment, which you will no longer have once you leave this physical body. Are you sure you want to give these gifts away and live life just like even lesser of an animal, right? So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life. This being said, Ferencan Power signing out.